Hey everybody, apologies for the voice here. I'm definitely been under the weather lately, but nonetheless, I haven't made a video in a while, so I thought I'd make another one and show off one of the other builds I've put together in the last little while. This one's centered around the GILLS. I'm going to do a little bit different of a layout in this video this time. I'm going to start with the PvP matches, and then you can skip ahead to the build explanation and then some important tips and tricks when using it in order to maximize or take advantage of unique quirks of the gear. So yeah, see the description for that timestamp. You can see this build's called the Patriarchy because it's oppressive. Super high stagger. He might just be trying to counter my build by the looks of it, just going for unstaggerability. It's going to take a few Zimmerman rounds here. I don't even know if my assault armor can stagger that, actually. You know, it is nice with the assault armor to have another backup punish option too, actually. Maybe I'm a little undecided on which one's better. They both have advantages. Oh, I jumped right into that one. Oh, that's unfortunate. Alright. Alright, let's give the pulse armor a go here. We're up against a another tanky build here. Going for grenade launcher spam, or bazooka spam. That's pretty scary because the projectile registration on that is very notorious, and in close quarters I'm not sure if this build will be able to handle it, but we're about to find out. I probably would have wanted to take a shield, to be honest, and done the defensive build on this one, but that's okay. He's only got 2 weapons, so that gives, if I can dodge those, then that's guaranteed time to go in and get a Zimmerman shot without worrying about dodging. You can see how overpowered the Kranichs are with the Zimmermans. Just insane damage, don't underestimate them. And I don't even really understand the math of it because it's 20 rounds per second with like 20 and I can't remember the exact damage, but to me it doesn't make sense. Yeah, you can see staggering the final shots there are very powerful, so that you get more damage into the direct hit adjustment bonuses. I've had some trouble against melee builds with this when I played the GILLS like an Alula, and I forget that one of the big advantages of this booster was that it has better vertical thrust and energy, and so I need to use that particularly against melee thrusts like the Pulse Blade. Use the verticality, especially if they have another melee punish like the Laser Sword or the Pile Bunker. Verticality is one of the most complicating factors for those weapons. and you want to maximize the handicaps that they have against your opponent. So I'm going to try to play this match a little bit more vertical and see what happens. I also do need to be a little bit quicker on activating the Kranichs as soon as, like, I don't even want to confirm the stagger. I just want to shoot and start activating them. I'll also need to be careful. If I run out of energy, he's going to go in for the pulse blade. That's when I need to jump, go vertical. Oh, I wasted my Zimmerman's there. No problem though. Okay, that time it went a lot better. The verticality definitely complicates those melee weapons. I lost against this guy against that build actually a little while ago. You can see this has a lot better vertical than the Alula. Gotta leverage it. Play against this melee build one more time before leaving the lobby, just because, yeah, I did struggle against it initially, and until I remembered that the point of this build was to have more vertical energy while retaining the double time for quick boosting, 0.3 seconds. And yeah, that is a huge advantage against melee players. I couldn't parry the melee with assault armor, but I guess it didn't really matter because all my weapons are non-firing stance, so they can all go off at once, which is really powerful. I'd like to get a kick in here at some point. I'm going to stick with the pulse armor. I'm finding it's a little bit more useful, especially with my impact being so low. The assault armor is nice at times, especially against tanky enemies because of the coral damage going through the resistances, but yeah, I just find too many situations where pulse armor works and it's just not as many for assault armor. interesting. A stun gun build, but I don't really need to put out much time to get sustained damage out, so and he's very fragile. I'm not even going to worry about timing the Zimmermans here or trying to get a kick to stagger. The Kranich will do work on their own. I just need to stagger him and prevent him from keeping those stun guns rolling. We'll keep up in the air too, because he's probably going to... Yeah, the more quicker I stagger him, the less damage he does, and the less I get mini stunned, so let's just go for staggers as quickly as possible with the Zimmermans. Ooh, that was close. Okay, pulse blade, laser rifle, and double lasers. Interesting. Yeah, I don't really know. Maybe the pulse blade's just for punish, but I'm just surprised he's running longer range weaponry when with so many firing stances as well. Well, let's give her. The only thing that's kind of hard about this build is the lack of interrupt stuns that I normally love. Gotta be careful not to point blank the Zimmermans as well. Okay, double missiles, songbirds, and the pile bunker. This looks like a build that would really struggle against me going vertical. Lacking a quick way to set up the pile bunker could hamper him. Plus going aerial really helps with the grenades anyways. Yeah, unlike the Alulas, which a lot of people don't expect from these really fast quick bursts, is me having extreme aerial. Yeah, he was not expecting that punish with these Kranichs. So far, I'm erring on pulse armor most of the time, but assault armor for very tanky enemies that you need the help finishing off. with the damage that comes from that, as well as the additional punish, because you're going to be fighting to get them staggered in the first place. Not so easy to set up kick staggers. And having the assault armor is another great way to open up another stagger punish almost for free. So that seems to be I think the verdict here. Pulse armor is slightly better in most cases, but assault armor has its gimmicks and niche uses as well, particularly against high stagger resistance enemies. Although the double Zimmermans, it can really keep up with even the biggest enemies when you think about it, because that 1200 burst impact, or 1300, I can't remember exactly, I think it's 1300, is enough. Even with a little bit of a cumulative impact, it's enough, which, case in point, looks like we're up against a tank going super high stability. Let's see if I can make use of the GILLS here to prevent getting staggered. The Kurosawas are going to be punishing, though. I might want to activate my pulse armor early. Well, maybe not. Oh, I did dodge that. Interesting. Yeah, I did dodge that, so that is curious that it still hit me. I guess maybe the radius is too big. Let's activate the pulse armor at the beginning. Too much, unfortunately, too much. I would need some missiles to beat that, unfortunately. Hey everybody, this week I have another build for you. This time I'm going to try to make something around the GILLS booster. These are one of the two boosters that have an extremely fast QB reload time. The Alula is the one that everybody seems to favor, and so this one gets neglected, and hence the reason why I'm looking to make a build around it. So I had to look for differences in the boosters to see what I could use to leverage out some advantages on the GILLS over the Alula, while still keeping the build centered around that very unique 0.3 second QB reload time. So when we compare the two here, we can see a couple of things. The weight, for one, is quite a bit lower, so we can get away with a lighter build. The EN load is marginal, but that is basically too close to make any difference. The melee thrust is not going to be part of this build, obviously, because it's basically 0. We do, however, have a little bit better ABEN consumption. We lose some thrust for it, though, but it means that it's got a little bit more sustain with that. Not really too much to note there. The QB ideal weight is pretty close, so nothing really distinguishing there. Something here that is somewhat substantial is the QBEN consumption. So the Alula at 690 versus the 620 might not seem like a lot, but remember, this is something that we can also manipulate with other gear to further decrease that cost. And as in terms of a fraction, 70 out of about 700 means it's about 10% more off, so it's not nothing. The thrust and jet duration are definitely weaker, however, so we're not going to be getting too much of a distance gap closing. So distance or gap closing when we boost. So this is mostly going to be an evasion style QB use, and we have a little bit better vertical and upward thrust. Actually, I should say quite a lot more, especially in the EN consumption. So this build is really good at hovering over the targets like a mosquito and spamming the QB in between attacks to leverage this booster's unique traits, especially over the Alula. We're going to trade off some thrust speed, but we're not slow by any means, and especially as you can see with my build on the side there, 350 is still very respectable. So talking about the build, we're going to be using dual Zimmermans. I know, embarrassing, but we're coming back to that. And the reason being is that these have high impulse amounts of damage and impact buildup, meaning I just need to shoot quickly and then I can quickly start quick bursting again. We don't want weapons that we have to shoot full auto and prevent us from using our boosters extremely aggressively. So shotguns is the name of the game. These ones are better than the other options because the Sweet 16 lacks range. We don't want to be having to get so close all the time, or at least maintaining that proximity in order to get our damage. We want to be able to have a little bit more wiggle room. So we're going with the larger ideal range shotgun, which also happens to have an extremely high impact buildup. When I shoot two, that's 1200, and the cumulative impact is still respectable. We'll be getting essentially 800 cumulative impact per burst. So 2 salvos of double shot is going to stagger the vast majority of mechs, and if not, for tankier mechs, we can work in kicks and maybe even use our shoulder weapons here. We're using the Kranich for just like poking and preventing the impact from decaying away if we miss. It also is contributing to our punish, so when we manage to stagger them, we're going to use the Kranich to punish. We want to be careful not to use both Zimmermans so that we don't waste one of the shotgun's ability to get the direct hit adjustment. In a perfect world, we'd love to run or stagger them with a kick and get away with running 2 Kranichs and then get 2 shotgun salvos for an oppressive amount of damage. And we can do that. Depending on what you're against, though, you may not be able to get away with it because you can see we're running a coral generator here. So we're not going to be able to regenerate our energy very fast, which is interesting on a booster build. We're going to basically have 3.6 seconds of downtime, and what we're going to do in that is use the shield, flashing it twice with the 1.6 window to get 3.2 seconds, leaving only about 0.4 seconds where we're vulnerable without the shield. And yeah, that will be our insurance against each time we need to regenerate our EN. If you can get away, depending on your enemy's loadout, with just taking some damage, and they don't have like one nuke that you can't just hop over, then you can get away with double Kranichs, and that is an oppressive amount of damage, which I'll show shortly. Especially if you manage to stagger them with a kick or assault armor, and yeah, it is oppressive. Another important tip for this build is if you are going to use your shotguns to break the impact bar, which you may not have to even if you are having trouble with the kicks, if it's just a sliver, the Kranichs can often be your saving grace there. Just a little squirt of them will usually do the trick. But let's say you're just unconfident and you want to secure the stagger even though it's going to cost you a little bit of your damage. Don't double fire your shotguns. You want to stagger the fire ever so slightly, so that at least one of them is benefiting from the direct hit adjustment bonus, and you're getting that into the punish along with the Kranichs. If you're going to run the offensive version of this build, which I personally enjoy playing more, especially because it helps me get a lot more punish if I mess up the shotguns and stagger them with the double shot and am reloading while they're staggered, because the double Kranichs is quite a lot of damage even on their own. But if you are going to run without the shield, then you should get familiar with saving a bit of energy so you can assault boost away in PvP. This build squeezes out a lot out of that 4400 EN that the coral generator gives us. In particular, the boost energy consumption 458 there is extremely low. We've made selections here to maximize that. You can do 10 quick bursts with a full bar. So a lot of dodging, obviously, that's kind of the point of this build. What we're going to want to do, though, is save about the last 3's worth of energy to assault boost away in PvP if the fight's going on that long and it doesn't look like we're going to get the stagger. So let's pretend we're fighting. I'm going to want to save the 3 quick bursts worth of energy, completely deploy it, and that'll give me space to get the energy bar back. Talking about the expansion choice, so if you're not going to go for games and just try to surprise them right off the start of the match, especially if they're an aggressive build, this is fun to do, but pop your assault armor immediately, and then double shotgun blast plus the Kranich being held down allows virtually no time to counter armor before taking the punish. So that's a fun little trick, but it is a little gimmicky, and I would probably save that for round 2. Just in case it doesn't work, but to see if you can clutch the round immediately, because you have seen how much damage that does. But the Pulse Armor is probably better on this build, A, because it helps give you 1 free Coral Energy regeneration. If you're going to run the offensive build, that's particularly valuable. But secondly, if they run Pulse Armor, you don't actually need Assault Armor to break their armor because you're running double Kranich. So if they do pop Pulse Armor and you pop Pulse Armor, you win. So yeah, I would say usually I run Pulse Armor, and I think that that is a better expansion on this build in most cases. A delay on the energy recharge. If you are in expansion, refuse your expansion. I'm just going to show you though what to expect for the time. You do want to be very quick with it. So we could be engaging, but yeah, this gives us 1 freebie basically. This build is particularly good against shield users, which is another reason I wanted to make a build around this. Since I've made that shield video about 2 months ago, just explaining back before people were really using them, now it seems like the meta is starting to adopt them much more, particularly this shield, because I feel like this is the most flexible one. The PS 61 shield here, just because of the extremely high impact buildup and the generous amount of IG window, plus the amount of times you can deploy it, and cooling. So very powerful shield. But now that it's being used more across multiple builds, I want to make a build that can break people who use shields. So we're going to look at how this build can do that. We'll take down King, and it should be pretty obvious as to why. If their shields are down, then the shotguns are massive impact buildup. If the shields are up, then the Kranichs are massive impact buildup. Yeah, so you can kind of see no hope for builds that try to play a little bit more non-quick boost centric and use a shield in lieu. Okay, first we're going to run the aggressive style of the build, and I'm just going to use the assault armor to show off the amount of punish damage this build can get if you manage to get a kick stagger. I was hoping he was going to use his armor there, but there we go. I want to use my assault armor to demonstrate the stagger punish here first. Yeah, so oppressive. Alright, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy the build. See you in the next one.